Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today for the second YSEALI webinar series on crowdfunding. My name is Amalina and I am the YSEALI coordinator at the US Embassy KL. So I will be introducing you to all the amazing, awesome speakers that we have today. But before that, maybe I just want to say a few things. First and foremost, want to wish all my Muslim brothers and sisters selamat menyambut Ramadan. Ramadan Mubarak to all of you who are fasting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also call it the Hunger Games, but this year seems to be a home medicine.
That's a
Yeah,
cool name.
it is. So yeah, just a little bit of a guidelines for all of you viewers who are watching out there. First and foremost, this is a recorded session. We will be we will be publishing this session for public view after. So let's play nice, everyone, and keep the chat coming. Like we love reading all the chats. And keep the emojis coming. If you strongly support or agree with what our speakers are saying, it's nice to like see some words of encouragement from the viewers just to get more engaged with the audience. So also we have a few buttons. Just if this is your first time on Crowdcast, I will just guide you towards the platform. If you look down below, there's a join YSEALI portion. If you are not a YSEALI member, please click on that link and then you will be able to get the latest updates for YSEALI. And if you look down after the call to action, which is the join YSEALI part, there's an ask a question portion. So if you have any burning questions that you want to ask our speakers, please feel free to ask the questions that you have below. And I will be addressing the questions. I'll be asking the questions that is most voted. So if you guys can have a look at the questions down below, and if you guys are interested in anything, feel free to upvote that, and then it will be asked. Next to the ask a question portion, there's a polls. So we have a few survey questions. If you guys are interested, they're very easy. And I have also included at the most top the links to all the organizations' websites for all the speakers. So if you guys want to learn a little bit about our speakers and their work, the amazing work that they do, feel free to click on the link and learn a bit more about their organization. So the structure of our session today is going to be a 30-minute plus 30-minute session. So 30 minutes will be me asking our awesome moderators questions, and the other 30 minutes will be a Q&A session where we'll be addressing all your burning questions. So stay tuned. Without further ado, I mean, obviously you guys are not here to listen to me speak, and I will be passing on to our awesome speakers. So if I may just say hi, I mean, if the speakers can say hi when your names are being mentioned. So we have Dr. Hatini, whom I will be addressing as Kak Tini today because she's
Rosie,
so
hi.
humble and casual. We also have Tim Spiker. Hi, Tim.
So hi.
Hi. And lastly, we have Roha Ismail. Hi, Roha.
Hi, everyone.
Great. So I will be asking them to do the introductions because obviously nobody can introduce you better than yourself. So speakers, maybe we can start from the thorn among the roses. So can you describe? Can you say something about yourself, what you do, and also a fun fact about yourself? So go, Tim.
Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I hope everyone is in good health and condition, staying safe at home. Thank you very much for inviting me to this webinar. I'm very delighted to speak on the topic of fundraising today next to these amazing women. So I'm the Executive Director of Souls 24/7 Education. And what we do is we offer free online education to the B40 community. We help people to learn and to be productive while staying at home. And what is unique about our platform is that our online classes are delivered in real time by our team of professional and certified teachers. We offer classes in English, in digital skills, and in personal development. And within 1 month of going live, we have had more than 6,000 learners on our platform. Now, with Souls 24/7, we are a humanitarian organization, and we are committed to serve, educate, and empower poor and underserved communities in Malaysia. We've been doing this through providing free education and social empowerment programs. We've been doing this actually all together for the past 20 years, and we have trained more than 450,000 learners across the region. A little bit about myself. I've been officially working in the education sector in Malaysia since 2011. So it has been nearly 10 years now that I've been living in this beautiful country. I'm originally from the Netherlands, but after all those years, I can fairly say that I've become Malaysianized myself. I love the people, I love the food, I love the weather, and I've also passed the durian test. I can actually, yeah, because I can actually appreciate the fruit, and it's also one of the most frequently asked questions from locals to me. So I would say, as a fun fact, I always joke with my wife that I'm more Malaysian than her. So my wife is Malaysian, but she doesn't eat durian, and she also cannot handle spicy food. But I can appreciate it.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, Tim. Kak Tini, can we go to you next?
Sure. Okay. So, hi everyone. My name is Tini Zainuddin. I am the co-founder of YSN Childcare, and also Voice of the Children. But I think I'm here to speak as the co-founder of YSN Childcare. Working on children's rights and protecting children is something that is my passion. That's what I love most than ultimately in this world. But I also, until December, have a day job, which I've been doing for a number of years, which is I am a consultant for fundraising. I've worked with a few UN organizations as well as big corporates. I also was the CEO of one of the foundations, big corporate foundations here in Malaysia. What else can I tell you? I work mostly, like I said, on child protection. There's a lot of what we do. I love working in the community. We're very, very community-based. My PhD is in monitoring and evaluation. And so assessment of programs is something that I'm actually trained to do professionally. Something fun about me. I love coffee. I'm a coffee addict. I'm actually shaking right now because it's been, since fasting stands, I haven't had a cup of coffee. So I'm a little shaky. Yes, so I'm a real coffee addict. It's a joke amongst all my friends. If you want to do anything fun and good for me, please give me coffee. So yeah, that's it for me.
Have you been making a lot of dalgona since MCO?
No, what's that?
Oh, it's like this viral coffee. I will show you.
Oh, yeah. You have to show me later. No, I haven't.
For sure.
I actually just ordered coffee to be delivered today, like 10 bottles.
Nice.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think you need
I can't do it. I can't do it. Yeah.
You're so funny, Katidi. Okay, so Roha.
Yeah.
Roha, take it away.
Hi everyone. First of all, thank you so much to YSEALI, Mereka, BGBG for organizing this wonderful program. And thank you so much everyone for joining us today. My name is Roha Fazlina Ismail. I am from the US Embassy, Kuala Lumpur. So my position at the embassy is a cultural program specialist. I am responsible for planning and implementing the embassy countrywide public diplomacy speaker and cultural programs, including the US speaker programs and outreach programs and many more. So fun fact about me, since that we have, like most of us are very passionate about education, which is, I am so happy about it. And just want to share with you all that I used to be a lecturer before.
Yeah. And Roha is not a very nice lecturer. So she's the kind of lecturer who will lock the door once you actually, when she comes to the hall, the lecture hall, she will just lock it, and whoever's is not going to get the lecture.
Because I take education seriously.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, okay. So thank you so much for the introduction. That was really fun. So now let's understand your why. I mean, if you can see, Roha is she's working in the US Embassy, where she is the one who is providing the funds, and Tim and Kartini are the ones who are usually raising the funds. So you will see that the questions that I'll be addressing to Roha and Tim and Kartini would be different. So I'm gonna call Tim and Kartini the T team, and Roha, you will be on your own. So I'm interested to actually ask about your why, because in life we have to know what is our why, right? So maybe I can ask Kartini first. can you tell us why are you doing what you do now? And can you share with us some of your memorable experiences during doing fundraising? Kartini, can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, were you asking me or Tim?
Uh,
Sorry. Hi, I
Kartini,
guess
yeah,
it's me.
sorry.
So,
Yeah.
so what are the initiatives I'm working on right now? Hello?
Yeah. I mean, so
Okay.
I'm just wondering, why are you doing what you do? And can you share some memorable experience in your fundraising efforts?
Okay, why do I do what I do? It's quite simple. There are gaps within the child protection system that allows children to fall through the cracks and therefore are denied basic needs and services, which would help them become the best possible person. Um, there are there are I guess programs and services that we need to make sure are there to sort of support children, especially marginalized children, so that they can actually, like I said, make better choices in life and do better things. So a lot of the work that we do surrounds urban poverty children in particular, although we work under the umbrella of marginalized children in and around Malaysia. So why do I do it? I think I have an affinity with children. I tend to be very childlike, so I tend to get along better with kids. That's personal. Because there are too many children out of the system that need to be within the system or have an alternative system that's just as good. And we need to ensure that every child is protected and has the best opportunities to be the best possible person they possibly can. And I think I repeated myself 3 times. Can you hear me? Please pretend it's an echo.
Yes, yes, you can. Yeah.
I mean, you see a child and they're denied access to education. I'm trained as a teacher, but I don't teach. I've always been in nonprofit. You see a child getting raped, a child getting beaten, a child at this point in time when we're talking about COVID-19 and the xenophobia. I actually have to write a paper today, it's a deadline, on the impact on xenophobia with children, marginalized children. I mean, they're asking questions. Rohingya children are asking questions why people hate them. They don't even know them. What do you say to a child? What do you say to a child when they're hungry? What do you say to a child's mother when they're hungry? What do you say to a pregnant woman who has no money to go to the hospital to deliver a baby because she's a refugee and she has no access to transportation or funds to pay the hospital bill? So these are some of the questions that, I try to answer, because I think it's very important that when you protect the child, you protect the mother, you protect the community, and that we have pockets of communities of people who have no access, who are going hungry for 3-4 days, even 3-4 weeks. I mean, 40 days later, we still have people hungry. So there isn't a sort of, a really good system that connects all the dots, and there isn't a great safety net to make sure that nobody goes hungry or is protected or doesn't get thrown out in the streets. So that's why I do the work I do. And I've sort of alluded to the fact on some of the programs that I'm working on. So it is, yes, food distribution within the community in childcare. It is trying to find funds for pregnant mothers, especially those who are marginalized with no access to free and equal health services. When they deliver babies, we give them baby boxes. It is the occasional case on domestic violence where a child is also involved because the mother is trapped in a home because she cannot go home. And there is cases of incest and stuff. It is the cases of trafficking. It is looking, we sit on the sorry, I lost my mother's talking, so really sorry. So I'm also on the anti-trafficking committee and also on the alternative to detention. We had Rohingya refugees landing in Langkawi. There were children amongst them, so they're in detention. There were children who were turned away as well. So there's lots of different ways, and it includes all children. I totally believe that we have to be an inclusionary society, that we have to include everyone and we leave no one behind. So that's why I do what I do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kartini. That was
1
very
second, I'll be
inspiring.
back.
Yeah, no worries. And it does take a village to raise a child, right? So Tim, maybe you can also answer the same question. Why do you do what you do? And can you share with us some of your memorable fundraising experience?
Yes, sure. So yeah, let me tell you my own personal story. So my journey in the social sector started in 2009. That time I just finished my master's studies and I wanted to do some voluntary work abroad before I would start my professional career in the Netherlands. So I joined SOLS in Malaysia as a voluntary teacher. And what I did not realize back then was that this experience would change my life and my career forever. I mean, now it's 2020 and that was 2009. And trust me, it was not in my plan to still be around here 11 years later. But yeah, it was my very first encounter with voluntary work. And I discovered the sweetness of giving. It felt very rewarding for me to use my time, my skills, my efforts to help others to improve their lives through education. So also the students in the center where I volunteered, they were around my age at that time I was 23. I just finished my master studies, and most of the youth in the center, they were either school dropouts or they finished their studies, but they couldn't get employed. So, and yeah, I could see they never truly had the chance to develop their talents. And I realized that I was in a very fortunate position to help them.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I was very close to the founders. So I noticed that to run a nonprofit organization is as challenging as running any other business. So after my voluntary experience in SOLS in Malaysia and Cambodia, I took the decision to pursue my professional career in the humanitarian sector. So I quit my job in the Netherlands and I joined SOLS full-time in 2011. And yeah, I can really say that I love the work that I do, and I've turned my passion into a career. I work daily on education programs that help to people to grow and to become better versions of themselves. And yeah, when this happens, it gives a great sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. And yeah, as Mandela beautifully quoted many years ago, I strongly believe that education is the most powerful weapon to change the world.
That's amazing. Yeah, you guys both gave me goosebumps. If you guys, if Tim, if you don't mind sharing with me one of your memorable fundraising experience.
Yeah, so that's actually a very hard question because I had so many memorable experiences. But yeah, again, I would go back to my very first experience because that was for me most impactful personally. So when I was 23 as a voluntary teacher in that youth development center, so the students there were from indigenous backgrounds and they lived and studied full-time at the center. So at the center, there were two large dormitories, one for female students and one for male students. And due to limited funds, there were no beds. And me coming from a Western country, it was like, how can you have a dorm without beds? So I started a fundraising campaign within Netherlands, and I asked people in my own network, family, friends, colleagues, old uni friends, if they were willing to support and give something to this cause. And they were very supportive. And within 1 month, I raised enough money for this campaign. And why this is so memorable to me, because it taught me a very important lesson. And that's whenever you raise money for a good cause, never feel embarrassed to ask people for money.
Yeah.
Like not everybody has the time or the ability or the aspiration to work in the social sector, but many people, what they would like to do is to help and to contribute in a way that is easy and convenient to them. And that's often through monetary or in-kind donations.
Yeah, that's true. And thank you so much for sharing that. And what you said really resonated with me because sometimes you don't have to think, you don't have to think too big to get fundraising, right? Because sometimes it's all about like just going to your connections, your families to raise small funding to make such a huge difference. Okay, so now I'm going to Roha and going to ask her a different set of questions. So, Roha, can you tell us what is the reason for the U.S. government to be investing in a lot of Malaysian initiatives? And can you tell us a little bit more about the small grants program by the U.S. Embassy?
Sure. Okay. Thanks, Amalina. I'm sure this is a very wonderful question, by the way. I'm sure like many people would want to know why embassy is giving money. So here, I would like to use we, even though I'm not American, but I'm working for the American government. So basically, because we believe that diplomacy is the best way to for a safer world for all of us. So like any other country, we use diplomacy with other nations to successfully deal with many challenges across the nation boundaries that affects all of us. So all in all, it is like our efforts to work with Malaysians on issues of mutual interest and benefits. For example, like cultural diplomacy, can be built through universal languages like sports programs, arts programs, and music programs. And another examples I can give you maybe like educational exchanges. It helps for people to understand each other better through these exchanges while facilitating information exchange. So that is why Embassy interested to give fund. So back to your second questions, what is small grants all about? So basically this small grants all about is in order for us to achieve all that I've mentioned just now, the US Embassy worldwide, not just Malaysia, we offers grants that promotes mutually benefiting projects, which projects that can be in areas that promote mutual understandings of values, policies, and perspective. So every year, for Malaysia especially, the US Embassy Kuala Lumpur offer grants up to 125,000 US dollar to Malaysian institutions, organizations, and individuals to assist in organizing these programs and activities for Malaysians. So basically for these small grant programs, we have an areas of priority programs that we are focusing on. I'm going to share with you the areas that we're focusing on for this year. We have like around 4 areas. Number 1 is security. For example, any cybersecurity program, countering violent extremism, combating disinformation, misinformation kind of programs. And second, we are focusing on economics, for example, entrepreneurship program. And we also, for this year especially, we're going to go big with women economic empowerment. And number 4, we're focusing on good governance, like civic engagement activities and programs, programs that related to elections and transparency. So if you guys have any new ideas, good proposals that you would like to share with us, you can always share with us. Just look through our website at myembassy.gov. Visit our website for a guideline and on how can you submit these proposals. And you can also follow us on our social media, because from this social media you can check out for what kind of programs that we have.
Right. Thank you so much, Roha. And I have also included the link up there. So if you can just scroll up the chat room, you can see like the link that I've included. Thank you so much. And I think this offer would also go to Yayasan Chowkit and Souls. If you guys have any programs that you guys are interested in, this is a great time for us to engage with Roha, because she makes the money. I keep running around. Okay, so my next question is a little bit about fundraising 101. I'm going to ask Kak Tini for this. Can you tell us a little bit about what are the first steps to fundraising? Because most of our viewers are young students who do not have a lot of experience in fundraising.
Well, before I tell you the 101 steps that I know, because it's only one perspective, I'm going to share a little story with you, which is one of the most successful fundraising campaign I did through Facebook. And this was done about 4 years ago, where I raised about 500,000 ringgit in 10 days.
That's amazing.
It was basically, well, so using this case, I will go through the steps. Basically, you have to identify the cause. In this case, for example, we had an NGO working with Orang Asli children that was actually setting up a school in Rau that had actually wanted to buy a land that was next to the land that they were on, where the school was. And they had mortgaged the land where the school was to pay for the down deposit for the other school, for the other piece of land. And of course, they couldn't raise the money fast enough, and they were now going to lose not only the deposit but the land where the school was. So we got an SOS, and I got an SOS and said, please, can you raise the money? And the answer was, I was like, okay, well, how long do I have? And they went 10 days. Actually, they told me 7 days. So you had to find this money and stuff, and I really didn't know how I was going to do it. So I decided that I was going to go on Facebook and ask my Facebook friends, which included friends, family, and people who supported the work we did in Chowkit, So basically, I identified the cause, went in there and appealed and said, look, can you guys help me figure it out? I think open communication is really important, research on the work, getting the approval from the NGO and the community that you work with, very important. Without permission, you can't provide information which may be sensitive. So you have to figure out what was sensitive, what was not. In the case of COVID-19, you obviously identify a cause or you have a solution to some kind of issue that's going on now. So with my case, it was the Orang Asli children, and we had this 7 days. They also, so going back to the story, the NGO also was doing a fundraising dinner to try to raise the money, you know, last minute, I think 2 days before the due date, to try to raise the amount that they needed. So we did that, went to the fundraiser, you know, I did the social media thing, talked to my friends and etc. And we actually got the amount that they needed, yeah? So I thought all was clear, except the NGO didn't take into consideration the cost of having that fundraising dinner. So it was an added cost, which meant we were still short of, I think, $175,000. And we're talking 2 days before the date, yeah?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I had to go back on Facebook and say, listen, this is, yeah, it was crazy. Go back to my Facebook friends and say, listen, they forgot to add the fundraising dinner. You can complain and you can do, but at the end of the day, we're all on the same page in terms of what the objective is. And the objective was to make sure these children had a school. They didn't lose the land. They didn't lose the deposit for this new piece of land. And so a friend said, you know what, I pledge 1,000 ringgit, and says, this is how much we need. If we can get 175 people to pledge 1,000 ringgit, we'll get what we want. Someone came in, spoke to another, and this is how networking works. Someone spoke to someone who was the CEO of a big bank in Malaysia. They came in with the last 80,000 ringgit. On a Saturday, I had 4 lawyers in my apartment. I had to go through numbers and stuff. We had experts sitting, poring over books on how to make sure there was transparency, that the account, the money went straight to the NGO, that the NGO representatives were in my house on a Saturday, and that we saved the day. So yeah, so we raised all that money in 10 days or 9 days, whatever it was. The point is, you need to do your research. If you're going, social media is a great platform to be able to reach out and get support and answer questions and find solutions. It's not just a matter of money. There is a lot of goodwill, expertise. Trust is a very important thing. People won't give you money if they don't know who you are. So it's really important to start, I think, with your group of friends and family, and then network out to people you know. And there's going to be a referral system that's going to happen. People are going to say, will you vouch for them? Do you know them? And then that sort of community drives each other to make sure that you reach the objective, whatever it is. And in my case, which wasn't the best solution because, you know, we didn't take into consideration the fundraising dinner and the cost. Yeah, that came in like right after, which wasn't the best example, but it's the reality. Things change on the ground. You may think you need, you know, a certain amount of money. Halfway through, you realize it's shift perspective, or you shift and the cost has gone out, or you can't reach your initial objective of the funds you want to raise. Where are you going to go? You set out your SOS, you do your social media, you make phone calls, you get a group of friends to sit down with you and do it. I happen to have a little bit more help because I've been doing this work for a long time, and I've had a track record, which always helps in terms of raising funds. It's always also good, I think, as an advice to all of you, to sort of collaborate and share and partner with someone a little more established, or someone who knows the landscape a little bit more, so that they can help you navigate and sort of reassure the general public that what you're doing is actually for a good and that there will be results. Then, of course, there's the updates. Then, of course, there's the transparency. Photographs is good. Try not to take picture of children. You know, showing the work, documentaries, videos, testimonies from the community that you're helping, other people you're helping is good. You can blur out the faces. I love voices. You know, just get the voices and get them to talk. So you just focus on what they're saying instead of, you know, getting distracted by images. You can also, you know, decide if this is a one-off kind of fundraising initiative, or is this something that you think, you know, you're inspired by, that you want to do long term, that's going to happen after, let's say, for example, COVID-19 and MCO? Is this going to be a short program? Is this going to be a medium-term program? Is it going to be a long-term program? It's not just a matter of funding. As Tim was saying, it's a matter of in-kind help, support. Volunteerism is like the best thing. Volunteers, expertise, time, and to sort of exchange different ideas. And also, don't be married to your vision of how it's going to turn out. Sometimes, even if you put in money, for whatever reason, things don't work out the way you do. Don't get disappointed, be flexible, sort of go with the flow, and just make sure that you help the community that you want to do. It is also, and this is the biggest mistake I think most fundraisers do, you never include the community that you're supposed to be helping. There is an assumption when you raise money for a community that you know what's best, but you can't possibly know what's best if you don't ask the community what they want. And it's very important that you check in with the community and the people that you want to help to say, is this what you want? Is this okay? And get that testimony, and don't be afraid if it isn't what you envision, because that's how you learn. And the most important thing is that you achieve the goal, you make mistakes, you get up, you try again, and you move on. So I think that's what I would say in a nutshell, how you do your fundraising 101. But I'm more than happy to share my contact with you if you want to ask any questions, or you have any programs that you want to see run, or any ideas. I'm more than happy to share information and be in touch. You can be in touch with me after this. Thank you.
Oh, Kak Tina, thank you so much. Your sharing really warms my heart, and I don't know about the other viewers out there, but when Kak Tina was sharing her 10-day fundraising, my heart was pumping, and I was like, is she gonna make it or not? But yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're also a great storyteller. Okay, so I'm going to ask Tim also. What are the helpful resources or tools that your organization has used during your fundraising efforts? And would you say that fundraising, would you say fundraising is the only method for us to get financial support? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Happy to share on that. Well, first of all, thank you, Dr. Tini, for sharing that wonderful story. It's very inspirational. I'm still standing here with goosebumps. But
Me too.
to answer the question on the tools that we use, so we are very edu-tech focused, and we use a lot of tools and different platforms in not only making our fundraising efforts more effective, but also to work more effective within our organization. So we use a crowdfunding platform called NGOhub.asia. This is where individuals and organizations can launch their fundraising campaigns. For our own fundraising, we use a CRM software called HubSpot. It helps us to track leads at each stage of the sales funnel. So we can see exactly per lead what the status is, what correspondence they had with our team members, who is the lead owner, when to follow up, and etc. Like same what Dr. Tini already said, social media is very important to communicate with your audience. So we use Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn a lot to share updates with the public, and of course also to grow further brand awareness about the work that we do. And we also use social media ads and Google ads to target potential donors, or to target potential students or volunteers, depending on the project that we're working on. We're also a Google for Education partner, so we use the different apps under G Suite. So G Suite helps us to collaborate on documents, sheets, and slides, which we use for our reports, our presentation decks, and also our brochures. We also use Google Data Studio, which is a data visualization software. We use it for our M&E purposes, and also for reporting to donors. So through this, we are able to show donors live data on the projects that they are supporting. And one final mention I want to give to Slack. I love using Slack as an internal messaging within our organization. So we have altogether a wide range of tools that we use, and most of the tools are also integrated with each other. So the second question you asked was on fundraising, what is effective for meeting our objectives, right? So I would say it's definitely an effective tool to sustain our efforts, but it is not the only tool. So ideally, right, I would say, based on my experience, anyone would need a fundraising model that that enable you to tap into funds from multiple sources. So either through different ways of generating income or through diversifying your pool of donors. Because what if you're dependent on one donor and from one day to the other, this donor stops giving? Then your project is screwed. So how we do it in Source is, we do fundraising from the public, private, and government sector. This helps us to raise large sum of funds, but also for our online platform, currently it's offered for free. But we also believe that if students appreciate the content, if they appreciate the training, and if they can afford it, that they might be willing to make a donation. Lastly, we also run corporate trainings, where this is through our social enterprise, Soul Smart, where we work with L&D and HR departments to upskill their staff. So we provide high quality trainings and professional certification. We are a HRDF accredited training provider. And this is also one way for us to generate income, to support our own nonprofit initiatives, and to reduce our donor dependency.
Right. Thank you so much, Tim. And what I like most about what you shared just now is how you actually utilize a lot of digital tools in your fundraising efforts. And I think we are very lucky and fortunate to be born in the 21st century where we are able to utilize all these tools. So we should and leverage them. Okay, so I'm going to ask the last question for my moderator session to Roha. As someone who reviews grant proposals on a daily basis, can you share with us what are the criteria to a winning proposal? Because speaking from an investor side, what kind of stuff are you looking for in order to help fund grants or like initiatives?
All right. So now, I mean, like this is the tips that I would share with you guys about how to, criteria of a good proposals. But this is not only limited to all of this. Of course, we have a lot of other criteria that we're looking at. But the more, the four things that we see are lacking in many proposals that have been sent to us is, number one is most of it doesn't really meet the embassy priorities. So whenever that you write down your proposal, it must be like clearly describe how your goals are related to and support U.S. Embassy Kuala Lumpur priority areas and target audiences. For example, the program areas that I mentioned just now about the economic, women empowerment, security, and all that. And a second one is you must include, every proposal must include a substantive American element in it. For example, programs that involve American speaker, American experts, or any organizations or institutions in a specific fields that will result in increased understandings of the US policies and perspective. So, and other than that, not just, having not only having American speakers or American experts, but you can also partner with our American corners. We have around like 5 American corners in Malaysia right now. So you can use these American corners for space and resources. They can provide you that. And also maybe you can work with our alumni, like Amalina is our YSEALI alumni ourselves, So if you can have these kind of elements in your proposal, then I would say that it's so.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Roha. And I think it's also important, if I may sort of understand what you're saying, is that you have to know who, the person that you are trying to get funding from, you have to understand what are their goals in helping you. So, for example, if you are going to corporates, like how does your initiative will be able to benefit them as well, right?
Yes.
Because, ultimately, it is, you are still asking them for funding. Okay, so it is currently 3:39. So we are going to look at the questions that you, the viewers, have been asking. So I'm going to share this on full screen, and I will be asking the questions that you guys have asked. Okay, so I think this the first question would be great for the Kartini, if you don't mind answering this. But
Sure.
the first question is, what are the essential steps to earn the trust from people to fund our campaign? Because you also talked about earning people's trust, right? So can you share a little bit about that?
Well, first of all, I think track records, it's not like I started out and knew what I was doing, right? It is a constant communication, storytelling that I do, but that's what I do best. I like to tell stories. I have lots of stories to tell and cases to share, and I actually genuinely want answers because I don't have all the answers. So I think the first thing you need to do is try to figure out which audience you're trying to appeal to. Are you trying to talk to the corporates? Do you want the corporates to listen? Do you want to see? I do a lot of research. So say, for example, you want to talk to Yayasan Saim Darby. You know that a lot of them are on social media. And what I think you need to do, my suggestion is to tell a compelling story about what's happening. Or it doesn't have to be a story. It could be just providing a landscape of what's going on out there. What is the problem? What is it that you're trying to solve? And why is it that you need to be listened to? Sometimes honesty is the best thing for you to do. Just tell it like it is. Hi, my name is so and so. This is what I'm trying to do. I really want to reach the corporates. The reason is because this and this and this is what's going on. My solution is this, don't whine. My solution, always come out with a solution. This is my solution. This is what I think is going to work. What do you think? Could I talk to the corporate person that I want to meet to see if this is something they could fund? Sometimes that works. With me, because I work with children, like I say, I tell a lot of stories. For me, storytelling is my advocacy. I believe as a professional fundraiser as well, that fundraising and advocacy go hand in hand. If you're going to talk about Palestinian refugees in Gaza, how is that relevant to the person here in Malaysia? Why should someone in Malaysia give, right? Besides the fact that we're Muslims, or that you're a mother, or that people are going hungry. You have to find universal appeals that would make someone sit up and take notice. Everybody talks about hunger. Why should they care about Palestinians in Gaza? Well, because there's a blockade for 11 years, blah, 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 blah. But forget Gaza over there. We can talk about what's happening here with Orang Asli. I'm just seeing something here about, autism and children with autism. What's happening? Deny, that they have no services. B40 cannot afford those services. There are no, not enough counselors. There's not enough time. Parents are working. Someone has to stay home and take care of the child while one person goes to work. What happens? Can they cope? There are other children. So these are the compelling facts about trying to get someone to take notice. These are the issues. This is why the child cannot reach its full potential. This is what is happening. So I think those are some of the things you need to do. Find the compelling points, find the relevancy, provide a solution. Don't whine. Provide a solution and say, help me figure this out and work with me so that we can make a real impact. Does it help? If not, I will answer after this.
I think that sounds very great. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, so let's go to the next question. Okay, so maybe if Tim, do you want to answer the next question? In a market where everyone is raising funds toward COVID-19, how can you show real impact to your cause? Because I know that during you are also creating some initiatives during COVID. If you don't mind taking that over.
Yeah, so this is a very good question. So of course, because now of COVID-19 and the MCO, everyone's attention is on relief efforts that are related to COVID-19. And even for ourselves, we have also pivoted from our traditional in-class training to online training. And to be honest, it was not because we had a master plan behind it. It was just like we were forced to do it. And I think that's like, as every crisis also has its own silver lining, where people have to come up with new initiatives. People have to be innovative in order to survive and to come out of this situation. Whether we like it or not, this is the reality. So the faster we have accepted the reality, we can move on. So what we did, we turned all our education programs online. So this way we could still deliver our education programs and our trainings only it's from a physical space, it has turned into an online environment. Now, of course, we are not able to help all the communities that we were able to help before COVID. Some of the communities that we work with, they simply do not have the required devices, the laptops or smartphones or tablets to access online education. Or if they have devices, they do not necessarily have internet connections. But yeah, it is what it is, and our focus is to help at least those who have these devices and internet, which is still a lot of people have this. It's just to really say the poorest of the poor, or like the bottom of the B40. This group is very hard to reach at the moment.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tim. Okay, so I think the next question is going to be posed to Roha. So Roha, can I ask you? I think Kartini also mentioned a little bit about transparency, and as someone who sort of reviews and monitors grants, what's the best way to practice transparency when it comes to public fundraising? Do you recommend it for all the fundraising that you do?
Yeah, I think I would agree with Kartini mentioned just now. Transparency, honesty is always the best policy. Be clear. And before I answer that question, I would like to add two more of the criteria that we're looking for in a good proposals, which is that you must have a clear and concise and well-supported statement of the problems. So when you are clear in this, I would say it is like a very transparent that everybody would know you have a data facts that, to back up the reasons, to give you reasons why you're doing what you're doing. And then, in order to be transparent also, like for example, in submitting proposals to the embassy, you must be clear in terms of your goals and objective. So you must add an element of M&E, which is monitoring and evaluations, like to your planning, so that because then you can know how will these activities going to be monitored to ensure that they are happening in a timely manner, and how are you going to evaluate this program and to make sure that your goal is achieved.
Right.
Can I
Am I
add
answering any
something?
questions?
Yes, please.
Can
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking of asking Kartini also to add. Okay, hang on. All right, go
I'm
ahead.
watching the best tool that you can possibly use in fundraising, which is networking, and I'm watching the chat that's going on now amongst the participants, and I mean the participants, and the networking that's going on, like who does what, how can we help, this is what we do. That is how fundraising works. When you network and you don't know, you ask, you do the research, you chat to people, and I'm watching it work very effectively now on your chat. But networking is the most important thing, I think. We can talk about corporates and research and the theory of what should be there. You can have your 2-page concept paper, your inputs, your outputs, and everything. But if you don't know how to network and you don't know how to communicate and you don't know how to strategize what needs to get done, and you don't have respect for the community you're working in, and you don't get their input, you're not going to get. It's not going to be a successful program. So I love what's happening now.
I know, me too. I was like reading all the chats, and I'm really inspired by all you.
I love it.
Yes. You guys have to come to the next webinar as well, where we can talk about other things as well. So this is really great. I think when you mentioned about networking, I totally agree, because sometimes people don't know where they can ask, and it breaks my heart sometimes when I know that there's so much access to opportunities, but it does not really go to the places that it should. Like for example, like there's a lot of awesome learning tools, but for example, thankfully SOS are providing access to education to the indigenous people. It's not that they would not have been able to access such tools. So I'm really grateful for the networks that I have. If I may just sort of advertise, I mean, speaking of network, YSEALI, we have a really large network of 150,000 people all across Southeast Asia, full of people who are passionate, who wants to change, who wants to change their communities for the better. So I highly encourage, for those of you who are not a YSEALI member yet, to click on the Join YSEALI link, and hopefully we could get more people that we can collaborate with. And I'm super passionate for, I mean, to bring this YSEALI network to people outside urban Kuala Lumpur or Selangor area. So yeah, thank you so much. So I think there's not a lot of time left. We have 10 minutes left in this webinar. So I'm going to provide some, I mean, if any of the speakers would like to share some final thoughts, that would be really great. Tim, do you want to share any final thoughts?
Yes, sure. So I think today we spoke a lot about success stories. Our successes, our experiences, some useful tips and advice. But I also want to say, one very important character trait, I would say, in fundraising is that you need a very strong motivation, and you should actually never give up. Because to get one success story, you also have 9 failures. But that's something that we didn't share much about today. But the same way Dr. Tini earlier shared about her raising the 500,000 funds in 10 days, it also shows that you need to have a very strong sense of perseverance, and you have to keep on knocking doors because you don't know which door will open. So I would say my final words will be proactive, be positive, and believe in yourself.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful. Kak Tini, shall I head over to you next?
What would you like me? Oh, you want me to give my last words?
Yes, final thoughts. Yeah.
I'm sitting here watching all these young people talk about the different wonderful initiatives that they're doing, and I'm thinking that perhaps I could see if we could work together to get a group of mentors, fundraisers who maybe have a little more experience to sort of mentor those who want help or access to corporates and donors that we know. I think it's really important that because I'm so much older and I could be your grandmother if for some of you, that, I think we need to mentor and make sure that there needs to be some kind of hand-holding and support. You may have great ideas and you may have wonderful initiatives and stuff, but you need doors open. So I think that's something that some of us older ones could share with you about how to get in through the door. And then what you do with that is your initiative. But I think maybe one thing we could do, and maybe this is something you could take up with the US Embassy, is to set up some kind of mentoring fundraising programs where we could come in and do a workshop or online training. If we can't, if MCO is still there, we do some kind of workshop or online reading where we can sort of invite the funders that we know to listen to you, so you can do, different things, or we could give you tips, or, meet up for coffee or something when this whole thing is done with MCO. But I think you need some sort of mentorship program. I think because I feel it, it breaks my heart that there are so many good young people out there, and they just can't get in through the door, because it is at the end of the day who you know. So let's not fool ourselves as well.
Thank you so much. That is so inspiring, and thank you so much for your offer. I'm definitely gonna reach out to you and take you up on that offer. So I will be bothering you.
You did doing an amazing job. Please bother me.
Okay. So Roha, last but not least, can you share with us some of your final thoughts?
Yeah, I would like to echo what Tim and Kak Tini mentioned just now. Don't ever give up, and keep looking for new ideas. Keep searching for, what are the things that you can do good to your communities and all that. Right. And then please, make full of this time, especially during this MCO. During this Ramadan time, to look and do some research. If you don't go and look for it, things won't come rolling to you. So for example, like in the US Embassy, small grant program is not the only things that we have. We have a lot more other opportunities, organized by the US Embassy. So grab these opportunities while you can. Like for example, the YSEALI program, the YES programs. We have a lot of other programs that is really interesting and really beneficial. And then allow you to give back to the community.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm gonna give you guys like little tiny parts because you guys have been so awesome. Yeah, what a great webinar session. I mean, this is such an amazing session. You guys have inspired me so much. So like, tiny hearts to every one of you. I'm going to sort of just provide some points that I am personally touched by. Thank you so much, Kak Tini, for sharing us some of the steps in fundraising. I mean, it was very inspiring to hear your stories. And storytelling is definitely for you because you are such a great storyteller.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Tim, thank you so much for sharing your resources. You have a wealth of resources, and it would be so nice to leverage on the wealth of knowledge that all our speakers have today. And a lot of people I can see from the chat, they're looking for ways to maintain this connection. So we're definitely going to see how we can help with that. And yeah. And yes, and Roha, thank you so much for sharing with us, like, what funders want and like what are the tips that we need to do in order to ensure that we have what it takes to bring the money, basically. And I love the fact that we talked a lot about communications and also about networking, the importance of networking, because yeah, ultimately we are judged by the people that we know, right? So it's very important for us to expand our networks. Yeah, so that's basically all the time that we have today. I just want to say thank you so much for everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
And
Thank
yeah,
you, BGBG and Marika as well. I forgot to thank everybody for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me.
yeah, and thank you for so much for taking some time off your busy schedule. I
No
mean,
problem.
despite it being like a global pandemic, it doesn't stop all these activists from continuing being kind and spreading humanity around. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. For those people who only came in like towards the middle or towards the last part. So you can just use the same link for you to watch the replay, and then we will be sending some highlights from this video. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone, and we wish you
Thank you,
a
everyone.
great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emelina.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Bye, Tim. Bye,
Bye.
Roha.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Bye.
It was nice knowing everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.